I want you to think about someone you have lost. Take a moment. Let the face form in your mind. The sound of their voice, the particular way they occupied a room, the specific gravity of their presence in your life. Now, I want to ask you something that is going to sound at first like a cruel question, but stay with me because by the time we finish today, it will be the most comforting thing anyone has ever said to you using the laws of physics. What if I told you that person never actually disappeared? Not in the way religion means it. Not metaphor, not poetry, not comfort disguised as fact. I mean physically, mathematically, according to the deepest, most battle-tested laws of nature that human science has ever produced. Laws that govern everything from the behavior of subatomic particles to the fate of black holes. That person cannot have ceased to exist. The universe does not permit it. Now your intuition is already pushing back. You have seen death. You have held someone's hand while the warmth drained from it. You have stood at a graveside and felt the most absolute absence imaginable. How dare physics tell you that what you witnessed was not real? But here's the thing about your intuition. It evolved to help you navigate a world of objects you can touch, relationships you can feel, clears threats you can see coming. It was never built to comprehend what matter actually does at the fundamental level. It was never designed to understand what the universe truly means by the word end. And when you replace grief with physics, when you sit with the actual mathematics of energy, information, entropy, and quantum mechanics, what you find is not comfort designed to make you feel better. What you find is something far stranger, a truth the universe has been keeping from us because we have not been asking the right questions. No human being who has ever lived on this planet has truly died. Let me show you exactly why we are going to do something unusual today. We are going to walk into physics, real physics, not the watered-down version, and use it to dismantle one of the most fundamental assumptions the human mind carries. The assumption that existence has an off switch. There are 4 pillars, 4 specific, rigorously established principles of physics that when you place them side by side produce a conclusion so unsettling that several of the scientists who discovered the pieces spent years refusing to accept what they implied. These are not fringe ideas. They are not philosophical speculation dressed up in scientific language. They are among the most experimentally verified concepts in the history of human inquiry. By the time we reach the 4th pillar, you will understand why the universe has no mechanism for destroying you, not the matter you are made of, not the energy that animates you. And this is the part that will keep you awake. Not even the information that makes you specifically you and not someone else. Let us begin. The first law of thermodynamics. You may have encountered it in school, dismissed it as a technicality, and moved on with your life. That was a mistake, because this law is not a technicality. It is a description of something so absolute, so without exception in the entire observable universe, that physicists treat it not as a theory, but as a structural feature of reality. It states this: energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. Simple. Almost disappointingly simple, and yet its implications are staggering. When you burn a log in a fireplace, the wood does not vanish. The chemical energy stored in its molecular bonds transforms into heat, into light, into the kinetic energy of rising smoke. Every joule that was in that log is still accounted for in the universe. Not approximately, not mostly, exactly to the last decimal place. The universe keeps perfect books. Now apply this to a human being. Your body at this precise moment contains somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 asterisks, 10 the 27th power atoms. That is a 7 followed by 27 zeros. Each one of those atoms carries energy, the energy of its mass, the energy of its chemical bonds, the thermal energy of its vibration. None of that energy is going anywhere. It is not permitted to go nowhere. The law forbids, snorts it. When a person dies, when the biological processes cease, when the electrical signals that animated the brain go quiet, the energy does not disappear. It disperses, it redistributes, it flows outward into the environment in forms that are harder to detect, but no less real. Heat released into the air, chemical energy transferred to the organisms of decomposition. Electromagnetic radiation emitted in wavelengths too faint for human senses, but fully present in the electromagnetic spectrum. Every unit of energy that was you at this precise moment right now is immortal. Not symbolically, literally. The first law says so. And the first law has never in the entire history of experimental physics been violated even once. The energy that animates you is older than the Earth. It has been passing through forms for 8 billion years. Your death would not end its journey. It would merely redirect it. But energy is abstract. Let us get more personal. Let us talk about the actual matter, the physical, tangible substance that constitutes a human body. Your body is composed of atoms, primarily hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. These atoms are for all practical purposes in the observable universe indestructible. A hydrogen atom does not age. It does not expire. The hydrogen atoms in your body right now are most of them billions of years old. Some of them were forged in the first 3 minutes after the Big Bang. They have been part of stars, nebula, oceans, ancient organisms, soil, atmosphere. And now, for this brief interval of cosmic time, they have been arranged into a configuration that calls itself you. When you die, those atoms are not destroyed. They are released. They re-enter the biogeochemical cycles that have been running on this planet for 4 billion years. The carbon that builds the proteins in your muscles will eventually become part of a tree, part of an insect, part of the ocean's dissolved carbon pool, part of another human being born 300 years from now. The iron in your blood has almost certainly spent time inside a dying star. It will spend time inside things we cannot yet imagine. You are not a permanent structure. You are a temporary arrangement of permanent things. And here is what makes this disturbing rather than merely poetic. Those atoms carry the record of what they have been, every interaction they have ever had, every bond they formed, every collision they experienced has left a physical trace in the state of the universe. The matter that was you does not forget. The universe does not forget. We are about to reach the part of this conversation where the physics stops being beautiful and starts being genuinely unsettling. The next 2 pillars deal with quantum mechanics and information theory and what they collectively imply about the nature of identity, consciousness, and what the universe actually does with everything that has ever existed. If you want to be here for that, take 5 seconds and subscribe. I have been building towards something, and I need you to stay with me. All right, let's go deeper. Now, we enter territory that is less comfortable because the first 2 pillars are intuitive enough once you think about them carefully. Energy persists, matter persists. These ideas have a certain grandeur to them without being deeply strange. The third pillar is deeply strange. In quantum mechanics, every physical system is described by what physicists call a wave function, a mathematical object that encodes the complete state of that system. Every particle, every configuration, every possible measurement you could ever make. The wave function is in a very real sense the completiformational description of something. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. the equations that govern how quantum systems evolve over time. The Schrödinger equation, the foundational machinery of quantum mechanics, are what mathematicians call unitary, which means they are perfectly reversible, which means that information encoded in the quantum state of a system is never destroyed. This is called the conservation of quantum information. And it has generated more controversy, more philosophical crisis, more late-night arguments among physicists than almost any other idea in modern science. Here is why. If quantum information is conserved, if the complete description of every physical state is permanently encoded in the evolution of the universe, then the universe is in effect a perfect recording of everything that has ever happened, every configuration of matter, every pattern of energy, every quantum state that has ever existed, including every state of every human brain that has ever fired a thought, felt a fear, recognized a face, or said a name in the dark. You are a pattern, a spectacularly complex, self-referential, self-aware pattern of quantum information. And if quantum information cannot be destroyed, if the universe is not permitted to erase records, then in some physically precise sense, the pattern that is you persists in the state of universe even after the biological machinery that was running it shuts down. I am not telling you that you survive death. I am telling you something stranger than that. I am telling you that the universe may be constitutionally incapable of acting as though you never existed. For 40 years, physicists fought one of the most ferocious battles in the history of science over a question that sounds almost philosophical. What happens to information when it falls into a black hole? A black hole, for context, is a region of space where gravity has become so extreme that nothing, not matter, not light, not any signal of any kind can escape. Stephen Hawking demonstrated in 1974 that black holes do slowly evaporate, emitting what is now called Hawking radiation. Over unimaginable spans of time, a black hole loses mass, shrinks, and eventually vanishes entirely. The question was, when it vanishes, what happens to everything that fell in? Hawking's original answer was deeply troubling. He argued that the information was destroyed, gone, permanently erased from the universe. This became known as the black hole information paradox. And it was a paradox because it directly contradicted the conservation of quantum information, one of the most fundamental principles in physics. For decades, two camps formed. On one side, Hawking and those who believed information could be destroyed. On the other, virtually the entire community of theoretical physicists, including Stephen Hawking's closest colleagues, who insisted that the laws of quantum mechanics could not be violated, not even by a black hole. In 2004, after 30 years of resistance, Stephen Hawking conceded he had been wrong. Information is not destroyed. Even in a black hole, even in the most extreme gravitational environment, the universe can produce. The information encoded in matter is preserved. It is scrambled almost beyond any conceivable recovery. But it is there. It persists. It is encoded with perfect fidelity in the quantum correlations of the Hawking radiation that escapes. The universe spent 30 years of the finest minds in physics confirming a single point. It does not destroy information. Not ever, not even in the most extreme conditions imaginable. Now consider what you are. You are information running on matter powered by energy. And the universe, the same universe that refuses to destroy the information content of matter that fell into a black hole a billion years ago, has no mechanism for destroying you. That is not comfort, that is physics. Now, I need to be precise with you because a statement like the one I just made can be misread, and I will not allow that. I'm not telling you that consciousness survives death. I'm not telling you that your subjective experience, the first person's sense of being you, the continuous narrative of your inner life continues in some form after your brain stops functioning. I do not know that. Physics does not currently know that anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. What I am telling you is something simultaneously less and more disturbing. The specific pattern of matter and energy that constitutes you, the precise configuration of atoms, the exact distribution of quantum states, the complete informational description of everything you are at this moment. That pattern is woven permanently into the causal history of the universe. The universe evolved to produce you, and the equations that describe its evolution are perfectly time-symmetric. In principle, in the cold mathematical sense, the information of your existence is never lost. And here's the second, darker edge of this truth. If no information is ever destroyed, then you are not the only one carrying this burden. Every person who has ever caused suffering, every act of cruelty, every decision made in the dark, these two are permanently encoded. The universe keeps records without discrimination. It does not save the beautiful moments and discard the rest. It preserves the totality. We tend to think of death as the great eraser, the mechanism by which the past becomes safely past, unreachable, but physics suggests otherwise. The past is not gone. It is simply inaccessible to us with our current instruments and our current understanding. The light from events that happened before we were born is still traveling through space. The quantum correlations that encoded those events are still present in the state of the universe. Nothing has passed. Everything that has ever happened is still happening in the only sense that physics can verify. It is encoded permanently in the structure of the present. So what do we do with this? If the physics is right, and I've given you 4 of the most robustly tested principles in science to support it, then death, as we have been taught to understand it, is not what it appears to be. It is not annihilation. It is transformation. It is redistribution. It is the dissolution of a specific temporary arrangement, while the components that formed it continue their 8 billion year journey through forms we cannot predict. Every atom currently in your body has been at various points in cosmic history part of a star, part of a nebula, part of the primordial hydrogen that filled the universe 3 minutes after the Big Bang. You are not a new thing in an old universe. You are the universe briefly and improbably organized into a form that is aware of itself. The astronomer Carl Schon, my predecessor, my mentor, in many ways the person responsible for whatever career I have managed to build, once said that we are made of star stuff. He was not speaking poetically. He was being rigorously, literally accurate. The nitrogen in your DNA, the calcium in your teeth, the iron in your blood, all of it was forged in the nuclear furnaces of stars that lived and died before our sun was born. We are the ash of dead stars animated by physics, briefly capable of wondering about our own origins. And when this particular arrangement ends, when the biological machinery winds down and the pattern disperses, the star stuff does not rest. It moves on, clears throat. It becomes part of the ocean, part of the atmosphere, part of organisms not yet born, part of futures not yet imagined. The atoms that are you today will be part of other lives, other minds, other moments of awareness for as long as the universe exists. That is not nothing, that is everything. The universe spent 8 billion years producing conditions capable of generating a being complex enough to ask what happens when it dies. The answer it offers through thermodynamics, through quantum mechanics, through the hard-won conclusions of the finest physicists who have ever lived, is that the question may be based on a false premise. You do not end, you change form, and the universe remembers every form you have ever taken. I want to return to where we started. That person you thought of at the beginning of this conversation, the one whose absence you have been carrying, I want you to understand something about them that physics, not faith, now permits me to tell you. The energy that was them has not disappeared. It is forbidden from disappearing. The matter that constituted them has re-entered the cycles of the living world and will continue cycling for as long as this planet exists. The information, the quantum record of every state they ever occupied, is encoded in the causal structure of the universe with a fidelity that makes the finest human archive look primitive. They are not gone, they are dispersed, and dispersion in the language of physics is not the same word as lost. We are not the solid permanent objects we feel ourselves to be. We are processes. We are rivers that believe themselves to be lakes. And rivers do not end. They join other rivers, other oceans, other systems of water moving through a world that does not keep track of which molecule was which. The universe is not sentimental. It does not hold your hand through this. It offers you no guarantees about consciousness, no assurances about continuity, no promises about what the experience of death will or will not feel like from the inside. Physics is honest in a way that nothing else in human experience manages to be. But it does offer you this, proof derived from the hardest laws of nature, that nothing which has ever existed has been erased. That the universe is a system of perfect, impartial, perpetual memory. That every configuration of matter and energy that has ever occurred is part of the permanent record of what this cosmos has been. You are in that record permanently, irrevocably, and so is everyone you have ever loved. The night sky you look at tonight is not a void. It is an archive. 8 billion years of physics unfolding in perfect accordance with laws that refuse to destroy anything, including you. That, I think, is enough to sit with for a while. If this conversation changed the way you think about existence, even slightly, even uncomfortably, subscribe. What we do here is not entertainment. It is physics taken seriously, followed wherever it leads. The next exploration is already being built. I will see you